All right, so let's kick off this afternoon with some panels. We talked about this earlier a little bit. We all have cell phones, we all have laptops. Those are powered by utility companies. And something that we don't pay attention to is the fact that there are leaders of color at these companies, which is really important when we're thinking about power and what's happening in our communities and equity. And so I would love to, before I bring the panel on, let's show a quick video by Entergy, who is powering this panel. Thank you, Entergy. Let's welcome to the stage John Hudson, who is the chair of the Entergy Charitable Foundation. He will moderate our conversation. Along with Melody Birmingham, who's the executive vice president of NeSource Utilities. And then we have Tamla Oliver, president and CEO of Baltimore Gas and Electric.
Thank you, Alencia. We really appreciate that. Again, I'm John Hudson. I'm with Entergy, and welcome to New Orleans. Our company is headquartered here. We're the only Fortune 500 company headquartered here in New Orleans, and we're very, 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 very happy to partner with Essence. And we really think these GBEF conversations really are enlightening, and we are very, very happy to be a part of these types of conversations. And so we're gonna have a great conversation right now, I think. And so I'm here and very, very fortunate to have two of my colleagues with me, Melody Birmingham, Executive Vice President of NiSource, Inc., and President of NiSource Utilities, and Tamla Olivier, President and CEO of Baltimore Gas and Electric. And so I just want to say congratulations to the both of these individuals who are here with me. A decade ago, we would not have seen this. Two CEOs. You have 3.5 million gas customers, 500,000 electric customers. You have 1.3 million electric customers, 700,000 gas customers, many of whom look like the people in this room, but you have an obligation to serve everyone, right? And so I just want you, both of you, to take just a moment to talk about your journey, how you got to the position of leadership that you're in, and we'll just start with that. So Tamla, we'll start with you.
Well, first of all, no one told me I needed to wear my stunners because these lights are bright. But we're going to make it work. It is so good to be here. I had an opportunity to listen to the panelists throughout today, and I have nuggets of knowledge that I'm walking away with. So thank you for that. We are really a brilliant people. So appreciate that. So the journey, the first 20 plus years of my career, I was in human resources, in financial services, and then I moved into the energy space. I think if someone had asked me if I would be sitting in this spot in this industry, I would have said, get the heck out of here. But during my journey in the HR space, at one point I decided to take a risk to move over into the business and do something that I had never done before. And that risk allowed me to do other roles across the utility and really, that's kind of the way that I got into this role, and I've been in this role for 2 months now. It feels like 17 years. Mel?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. I do want to thank Essence and also our peer utility, Entergy, for hosting this panel discussion. And if you saw the video, I absolutely love everything that we do and the mission that we have as a company. You know, we help to power the lives of our customers and also the vitality of our communities. So we serve a very important mission. But in that video, something that really caught my eye was the gumbo. Did you all see the gumbo in the video? The food looked amazing. But no, again, Melody Birmingham, I am Executive Vice President and Group President of the 6 utilities for NiSource. We're located in Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland. And I'm very fortunate to represent almost 8,000 employees who support both our gas and electric businesses. My career started 31 years ago. The first 5 years of my career were spent in automotive. Graduated from Purdue University and hitched my car to the back of a U-Haul from West Lafayette, Indiana, and moved upstate New York to work for General Motors. 5 years after working in the electric utility industry, I was asked if I would consider a role working in generation at the electric utility in North Carolina. So I started my career 26 years ago in the electric utility, and I've worked all over the utility. I've relocated 8 times. I've served in 18 roles, and I've lived in 6 states. Across the utility industry, I was a maintenance superintendent at our generation plant, the first female and first Black woman in South Carolina. I also was general manager of field distribution operations, overseeing maintenance, resource, construction, management, project management, engineering, work management, as well as a number of other jobs and duties. After leaving the field, I became the president of Duke Energy Indiana, where I was president and CEO of Indiana. Thank you. And then went to corporate, served in a few roles before moving into C-suite at my former employer, Duke Energy. And then I've been with NiSource for 3 years, where I was brought over to lead innovation, technology, operations, and now all of the utilities. So it hasn't been a straight road, it hasn't been a short road, but it has been very worthwhile and varied.
And before you go on, John, you made the point about us sitting here on this couch, but Melody and I have something in common. Both of our CEOs are African American men.
Absolutely.
Both.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
It
That
is.
that does not take anything away from your journeys, which we want to talk about. But they are the CEOs of Fortune 500 publicly traded companies. And this is something that we have not seen in our industry in a very, very long time.
That's right.
And there's also an African American female who was just named
Yes.
CEO of DTE
Yes,
Energy.
Joy.
Yes. Yeah.
Which
So
is awesome.
I think that deserves a round of
It
applause
does.
in this industry.
It does.
That's right.
Very important work that's happening right now in our industry, whether it's artificial intelligence and the data centers associated with that. And we'll get to that. But I'm curious. I'm on social media sometimes, not as much as my daughter, you know.
He
but
TikToks.
But you know, you see so often the first African American to do this, first African. It's almost, you know, I mean, it's just so many firsts,
Right.
you know, that I see all the time. But I really do want you two to put in perspective some of the unique challenges. What makes this unique? You know, that you two are sitting in these roles. What kind of challenges did you face to get to where you are?
Sure. So I'll go first. What makes it unique is not many people graduating from high school or college think to work for, you know, an electric utility company or a gas utility company. It isn't sexy. It isn't trendy. It isn't something you see the counselors talk about. And in all honesty, we joke around internally, say it's a friends and family recruitment process, because these jobs that, the entry-level jobs pay very well. And many of the employees, refer their friends and their families because of the good paying jobs that we have, as well as the benefits. Some of the challenges I had, and most of them were, again, as I said, I've lived in multiple states, was field operations. And I don't like to say being the first, bragging on it, because I think it's a shame. It's important that I wasn't the last. And so that was the most important thing. And I've been very happy to see a number of other Black women, coming up in this industry since I've been here the past 26 years. But being in field operations, I've always been, only female in most of the jobs, the only African American in most of the jobs that I've served in. And so, and most of my employees have been men and Caucasian men. Very rewarding experiences, whether it was in New York or South Carolina, North Carolina, Illinois, Indiana, or Ohio. Some very challenging. When we think about diversity and inclusion, oftentimes we think about the diverse candidate having to be readily accepted and introduced into the organization so that person can feel comfortable. The same holds true for the non-diverse candidates as well, or parties of the relationship, so that they can embrace this person who's very different and who has a different background. So the initial challenges was fear of the unknown, people not knowing how to receive me, not knowing if I was a very dainty and soft woman coming into a very dirty and grimy and hard-skilled role. But over time, and earning those stripes and humbling myself to the organization and those employees, it became a very rewarding experience.
Yeah, I'll start with the friends and family. Because it was friends and family, I have people in my organization that will tell me, my grandpa worked here, my daddy worked here, my brother worked here, and my mama worked here. And so when you are using friends and family as your only recruiting tool, what you have is you recruit people who look like you. That is kind of the history of the utility. So when you have people who come into that space that have different experiences, may look different, grew up different, have different backgrounds, it takes them aback a little bit. Prior to coming to Baltimore Gas and Electric, I was with our sister utility, Pepco Holdings, Inc. in Washington, D.C., and was also responsible for Atlantic City Electric and Delmarva Power. And I would do these road shows every quarter where I would visit all 22 of our service centers. And many of those service centers very much look like friends and family.
That's your friends and family.
Not my friends. No, Pepco in DC, that was my friends and family. But when you were out and about, it wasn't even just that I was a woman. It wasn't even just that I was a Black woman. It was, you got a woman running operations who came from human resources. She don't know nothing about nothing. Also, the whole, oh, she's a woman, these guys in the field, they're big dudes, and they would try to flex. So you would come in and they'd say, well, what about this? Okay, well, let's talk about it, let's go. So I do think, being out there, making those connections, and giving folks an opportunity to get to know who you are. These are roles you cannot do from your office. You have to be out and about so that people they don't have to like everything I say. They ain't coming to my house for dinner, I ain't going to their house for dinner. But we're gonna have a mutually respectful relationship, and you're gonna know where I'm coming from, and I'm gonna be open to that conversation and dialogue.
Yeah. I will tell you that, being the only woman out in the field, and it's a very machismo, very macho culture, and you almost have to be because of the work that they do and the conditions they work in. I was 9 months pregnant pulling call. I had one of my field techs, there was a call I received in the middle of the night, had gotten injured, and it was before I was going out on maternity leave. And in South Carolina, I left out my hard hat, steel toe boots, my vest, in the middle of the night, 1:30 in the morning in the field. There's a newfound respect for that, to where they realize, being a woman doesn't matter. It's really just being invested in the job.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this because you have an HR background and maybe you have a perspective on this. What's going on? I mean, why is it just now?
How much time do we have for this panel? Like, what did he just ask us? And you know what? John was backstage. We only have 25 minutes. And John said, I also want to ask this. And I said, John, we have 25 minutes.
You
and then
only
he said,
have this opportunity once.
Wait.
I mean, I got to get it.
Then he said, we're live streaming. I don't want you and Melody to say anything that's going to get us in trouble. And Melody said, well, it depends on how you ask the question. If we have to pop off or not.
I know.
And then he says,
Tell you I'm from Chicago.
yeah.
But I'm just wondering what's going on in the industry for the both of you and so many others to begin receiving these leadership opportunities now. Have you thought about, what's going on in the industry and why this is happening right now?
I think people just woke up.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think that's right. I think businesses, organizations really are starting to see that they get markedly better results when you have a diverse leadership team.
Absolutely.
And if I look at where we were 10, 15 years ago, our leadership team didn't look like this. We certainly didn't have a brown man sitting in a CEO position. And at that time, our reliability wasn't what it needed to be. How we managed our financials wasn't what it needed to be. And since that time, since we have diversified that leadership team, all of those metrics have gone up and continue to go up.
Absolutely. I agree. We're, at the very top of the performance that we've seen at my company in over 10, probably 20 years. And still making significant strides and improvement. I don't think there is any one thing, John, because, the CEO, Lloyd Yates, who I've worked for, he's been in this industry for about 40 years. He started his career out as a nuclear operator from Philly, okay? And so you put in the time, you earn the stripes. Should have been CEO 10 years ago. But, he became CEO back in February of 2022. When you have demonstrated time and time and time again with consistency and with high levels of quality in the execution and producing talent in the people you select and you're getting results, you can only deny me so many times until you really, really need me to help improve your culture, turn around your performance. And so now is the time. It's a great time. Why not now? Should have been sooner, but glad, it is now. As I've shared, I've been all over the industry. I've worked ops, I've worked corporate, I've worked, state, local. Where else do I have to work, right?
Yes, good question. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit now about strategic priorities. When I think about the industry and where it's headed, I talked a little bit about artificial intelligence and the incredible consumption of energy that the data centers are using, and it's posing all sorts of challenges for utilities right now. So I know that's a priority for us. I know it's a priority for other utilities, but I'm curious, what is it that you're working on? What is it that's important to you in your business right now?
Affordability for our customers. I mean, that at the end of the day, baseline, Melody and I have to deliver gas and electric safely and reliably, period. But now there's this piece that we have always paid attention to, but it's becoming more of a focal issue for the industry because we don't have the level of supply that we need in many of the states that we operate in. So I'm in Maryland. Maryland only produces 60% of the power that they actually use. So that means 40% of the power is being imported in from other states. So what happens when you have high demand, low supply? The prices go up significantly. And guess what? When you get your bill, it says Baltimore Gas and Electric. It doesn't say the suppliers. I don't own any generation. I don't own gas. I don't own any electricity. So I'm not generating power. We're getting that from third parties, and they determine the price. It's a competitive market. So they're saying, hey, there's a real demand for this. We're going to take the price up here. But at the end of the day, our customers are looking at me saying, what are you going to do to lower our energy prices? So we are currently working with government officials. We are working with the governor, the overall state to say what is the pathway to basically relieve this energy desert that we have, because the real problem ends up being all of the utilities across Exelon sit in major cities. We're in DC, we're in Baltimore, we're in Philly, we're in South Jersey, we're in Wilmington, we're in Chicago. And so the most vulnerable communities that are being impacted by this are brown communities. So we have got to be part of the solution in solving this issue that is a longer term issue for the state. So a lot of partnership right now to try to solve a pretty complex issue.
Absolutely. I'll add on to that. How many of you are familiar with AI and what is actually occurring today? Okay. AI, artificial intelligence has evolved to generative artificial intelligence, which kicks it up to another level. But what it does is it will allow us to really be competitive as a country, to deliver services in a more efficient way and products in a more efficient way through the use of enabling technology. And it allows us as a country to compete with other countries. We are expecting the capacity needs of our systems, our independent system operators, be it PJM, MISO, to triple over the next 5 years. And so this is bigger than what would have been the industrial revolution when we started manufacturing at the pace in which it is moving. So it's moving very quickly. And these hyperload, what we call data center or hyperload customers, they need so much capacity and so much energy that in order to meet that demand, we have to make sure everything is working in perfect coordination, because speed to market is the name of the game. So they need solar, they want wind, and those are renewable generation solutions or assets, but they also need dispatchable generation, which is nuclear, coal, natural gas, and there are some other technologies out there, because they want to make sure when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing, they still need power. And that's where your dispatchable generation comes into play. So in terms of what our strategic priorities are, customer affordability, absolutely. But as we're starting to see more and more interest from these data centers coming into our service territory, customer protection is an area that my team and company is focusing on. And what that means is, as you bring in these super users of energy and everything that will be needed to support those users, I need to make sure that my my native load customers, my residential customers, my small and medium business customers, and industrial customers, I'm protecting them from if this large user were to leave the system and leave me with stranded assets. You understand what I'm saying? So protecting the customer is critically important as we are now seeing these data centers, and we don't see it as a challenge, see it as a great opportunity. We welcome data centers to come into our service territory, and we have a lot of interest in our state. What I will also say, because I know we're running out of time, this is an area that I would highly recommend that you, your children, learn more about, because this is really powering our future. So a lot will change, I anticipate, over the next few to 5 years as a result of AI. But as those changes are occurring, we're being more adaptable, we're being more flexible, and we're working with our state legislators, as well as I oversee our DC office, working with the federal administration to help us support this new growth.
So we've only got a few seconds left. And so I was going to ask you, we have an obligation to serve all of our customers. I'm just curious, what obligation do you have being in this role that you're in? How do you view your obligation to your community?
Well,
in 30 seconds.
Oh, why do you say that when he turned it to me? That's rude. Yeah, so community is everything. Melody kind of laid out what we're dealing with in the industry in terms of load growth and protecting customers. Even though we are not driving the supply prices up, we know we have an obligation to relieve some of the stress and the struggle that our customers are going through. We recently announced a customer relief fund for $15 million for BGE customers that can go in, and you have to qualify, but really focused on helping our most vulnerable customers. So we have got to be there for our customers, whether it's workforce development, economic development, making sure that they're not making the decision between my gas bill and my medicine, but literally we need to be there for our customers every day.
Absolutely. And absolutely. I know, please wrap up. I see it.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say our time is up, unfortunately, but can we give these ladies a round of applause? There's no wonder they're in the jobs that they're in. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.